Well, maybe.
What? He's wearing a suit.
You like that?
What the hell?
I thought I'd treat you guys. You know, I've been in sweatpants for 4 weeks now.
Wow.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I got sweatpants on though.
It's Michael Del Zotto joining us from his Oakville retreat.
Etobicoke. Not that far.
Etobicoke, Mance. Michael, I gotta say, your shot. You could be on TSN right now. You got the bookshelf in the background.
You
got
like
the
that?
jacket. You look like a hockey insider. We could hire you this second. One small problem: we have no money. There are no sports left.
I'm not doing it for free, unfortunately. Just for you guys, though. I enjoy talking to you guys. You guys are hilarious. I love watching you guys. So thanks for having me.
So what have you been doing? So you made it back to Canada.
Yeah.
So you were stuck in the States, but now you're back. What have you been doing?
I've been trying to stay busy, trying to keep my routine. I'm going to bed. This is past my bedtime. I'm usually in bed by 9 every night, up at 6, working out first thing in the morning. I just find I took a little bit of time off, and I find without the working out, my mind wasn't right. So I've been working out every morning, which helps out the rest of the day. A ton of cooking, a lot of healthy baking, which is new for me. Been doing some online classes, learning how to speak Italian again. A ton of music too. Every Friday I'm going on Instagram Live. I'm doing a live DJ set from my kitchen, or from my dining room table, sorry. And I'm trying to raise money for families that are in need right now.
Oh,
that is fantastic. The baking thing intrigues me, Michael, because we were just talking. Our fellow anchor, Natasha Stanishevsky, is a fantastic baker, and she does a segment on her social media, Whip It Up Wednesday, she calls it. I like the idea of a collab between you and her, baking something together, perhaps. Maybe it's an Instagram Live. You do the double box thing. You guys each take an ingredient and you go for it. Maybe it's a competition or something, a cooking challenge.
I love that. I haven't baked before, so I've gotten into it because it takes a little bit of time. It kills the day up a bit. But I've added some kind of healthier ingredients, because without the skating and working out as much now, I'm worried I'm going to blow up. So I'm trying as best I can to eat as well as I can, and eat as least as possible as well.
Here's the problem I have with baking. So when you're like cooking dinner, you can fix a mistake. In baking, you can't. It's you screw up one little thing, or screw up a sequence or the order it's supposed to go in, and then it's ruined. I hate it.
I baked this black bean brownie the other day, and I was in a rush. I don't know what I was rushing for. Like, I don't know what I had to do, but I was in a rush for some reason. I forgot to add the eggs in it, and it came out. It was atrocious. I threw it out right away, and I have to start over from scratch. So I know exactly what you're talking about. It's frustrating, but again, now's the time to perfect it, because I got nothing else to do.
And you said you're trying to learn Italian again. So take us through your family's obviously Italian, but did your grandparents speak Italian to you as a kid, and then you kind of lost it by not speaking it?
No, I know all the swear words. That's about it. But I was lucky growing up. I actually had my dad's parents live with us. And then my aunt and uncle lived next door with my other grandparents. So super, super close Italian family. But my grandparents spoke English. So I was really fortunate. Fortunate or unfortunate, I guess, depends how you look at it. I wish I learned. We're planning on going to Italy. We were supposed to go this summer. Obviously, that's not happening. But hopefully next summer. It was my mom's 60th this summer. So we're going to do a family trip. So ideally, if I can pick up as much as I can to allow me to, adapt, or I get more involved in the culture there, I think would be pretty cool.
So what is your Easter dinner? Because Jay and we earlier spoke, I had lasagna for Easter dinner. Jay had spaghetti and meatballs. As an Italian, what is your Easter dinner?
I haven't had Easter dinner since I was probably 14 or 15. So I honestly don't even know what it is, but I was lucky enough. My parents dropped by my place, and my mom made her famous homemade pizza. So she left it on my front steps. It's prosciutto and goat cheese.
Oh man!
It's all my buddies wait all summer for the invite to come over when my mom comes and make that.
So where do you get the prosciutto?
My grandpa makes it.
Oh!
Whoa! What?
My one grandpa that's still the only grandparent I have left over. Yeah, he still makes prosciutto, salami, his own wine, vinegar.
Oh.
That's it all. Yeah, he's got the huge garden in the backyard. Yeah, we were spoiled, pretty spoiled growing up. Both my parents worked, so if they weren't around for dinner, I had either one of my nonas to cook for me. So it was a treat.
Man, Nona, that's pretty good.
Needless to say, I was a little chubby as a kid.
Well, Gino Retta made some sauce this past. When did he make it? Whenever you make this,
like around August, Michael. You know, like when the tomatoes are good and everybody makes the sauce, right?
And it was the best sauce I've ever had.
Yeah, Gino made a nice sauce in the garage. I gotta say.
Does he make wine too, or is he just a sauce guy?
I don't know. I'm not sure I trust Gino's wine, but I definitely trust his sauce.
My grandpa's hilarious. Like we'd be having like a big dinner, and I'd bring over like a nice bottle of Amarone or something, and he'd slam his wine on the table, and you'd try to offer him some of the what you would call me a more expensive good stuff, and he gives you the hand. He goes, that's that's like, so he's pretty proud of his own product.
So now that you come back in and you have a bottle of that after you obviously had some nice wine, obviously, how does it taste now that you have a better palate?
I like it because I grew up with that, right? So more than anything, you relive your childhood memories. It's more the experience of the wine, not so much the taste. His vinegar, though, I do swear by, as well as his frittata is as good as it gets, and his meatballs. So he does, aside from the wine, he's got some amazing recipes, and it's impossible to replicate.
He's like a one-man Italian deli.
Yeah, I see. He's got the big power barrel on him too. He's a typical Italian. Everything just deep fried. It tastes.
Oh yeah. So
it's tough to get off the toilet later at night, though.
Yeah.
That thing cleans you out.
So you're stockpiling all the TP. That's the person.
Exactly.
You've got it all.
Use it all. I gotta use the towels after those meals.
Hey, so where did you have planned? Where were you going to go in Italy?
We were supposed to do the Amalfi Coast. So me and my parents, my brother and his wife, we did Greece and Italy 2 summers ago for my dad's 60th, which was pretty epic. We had an awesome time. So typical mother, she wanted one up my dad. So we're planning on doing Amalfi. But
so how many times have you been?
Italy, that was the only time I've been. We did Rome, Florence, Cinque Terre, and that's it. Yeah, I love traveling. I travel as much as I can. Like every All-Star break, I go away. Like this past one, I actually went to Hawaii by myself, being the only single guy, I had no one to go away with. So it was pretty. It was enjoyable, and it was nice to. You kind of go away. I'm very much a planner. Like I have everything. To the bathroom break planned in my schedule, my itinerary, and I had no plan. I flew there, I had a hotel, and that was it. So the first day I ended up getting pretty banged up on the Mai Tais. I met a bunch of people. Next thing you know, I'm on a catamaran sunset cruise with 20 people I've never met. Next day, I went on a hike with this couple that just moved there from San Diego. He joined the Navy. It's a super, super sweet couple. And then the following day, I just kind of woke up and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go skydiving. And I went skydiving by myself. I have, pictures and videos from that, which was probably the coolest experience of my life.
So, Michael, you just described that's how I vacation. I just go and have no plan. Isn't it way better than having every single minute mapped out?
I think having a little middle ground would be nice because
no.
Yeah, if you're going to a place that you don't know, the last thing you want to do. I'm a big believer. There's so many places I want to travel. So if I go somewhere, I want to do it right the first time, because hopefully it's the only time I go there. So the last thing you want to do is when you leave and be like, oh, I forgot this.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah.
There's a couple of things that you have to do when you go to certain places. So I think having that, and then just getting lost. I went to Portugal a couple of years ago. Me and my buddy, that's what we said. Like just getting lost in the city, I think is the coolest thing, because that's the way you get to know some of the locals, and you just let the day take wherever it may be.
So, Michael, are you, when hockey's over for you, is Etobicoke where you're going to hang your hat? Are you going to retire there?
It's a perfect scenario for me right now with my parents being in Toronto. I train with Matt Nickel over at St. Mike's. I've been there 5-6 years. He's the absolute best. My buddies here. But getting a taste of California this year, being in warm weather throughout the winter, that's special. I've never had that, and it's definitely something to say about happiness every day. No matter what happens at the rink or whatever your job may be. I think being able to come outside and it's 20 degrees, 70 degrees, depends where you are.
Here's what you do.
Sunny every day. You cannot beat that.
It's pretty good.
You get the house right next to Scotty Upshaw when you retire, and boom.
I don't know about that. There'd be a lot of noise complaining. Hopefully by the time I'm retired, I'm not still single. I got a wife and some kids, and that's definitely not going to be the place to be.
No, but you're right. Like it's you get a taste of it, and when we first came back from living in LA, I was so soft. I mean, I'm soft to begin with, but you soften up in the winter down there, and then you come back, and the first couple of winters were brutal back here, I thought, just because you're just not used to it.
Yeah, I came back here, it was middle or end of March, whatever it was, and same thing, it was, 5 degrees, and it felt like minus 20 to me. It's amazing how quickly you soften up, because you're just used to the warm weather. But going back to your point about Etobicoke, and for me, New York is, I don't know if just because I started playing there at 19, and at that age, you're kind of a sponge and soak everything in. New York, to me, there's just something about that city. Every time I go there, the energy there, it brings out the best in me. It feels like home to me.
Who is your best teammate on the Rangers? Your favorite?
As far as what, hockey or off the ice?
Just anything. Like one guy. Like, okay, if there's one person I call on that team, who would it be?
Probably Zuccarello. Like my last year or two there, we were really close. We did everything together. Just so much fun to be around all the time, making jokes. There's never a dull moment with that guy. I've traveled with him, so he's just a guy you want to be around at all times because you never have a bad day.
Do you still have a place there, and when can I use it?
I do not. My brother and his wife live there. They would love to have you. They're actually expecting their first. I have a nephew on the way in
nice.
2 or 3 weeks. Thank you. Yeah, really excited. Nerve-wracking too, with obviously what's going on and how crazy it is in that city. Scary time, but they're doing well.
How are they coping? Can they get out?
They go out for walks. That's it. Walks in the grocery store. They try to grocery shop once a week just to minimize contact, obviously, with other people. But they go on their walks and they're working out from home every day. They're pretty driven too. It's they got the Del Zotto genes where we're pretty motivated, pretty driven people. So they're staying positive, which is great.
So what is your daily contact with the NHLPA or the NHL? Are you guys getting daily emails? Are you guys getting texts? Do you have a representative says, okay, here's the contingency plan, or you guys go a couple days without hearing anything?
Yeah, we get daily emails from the team. We have our representatives as well. There's not a whole lot of information. You might get something worthwhile maybe once a week. It's impossible to plan. Like, who knows what's going to happen. And as much as we want the season back, we want the playoffs back, we want someone to win a Stanley Cup, this is so much bigger than hockey. And you read and hear the tragic stories every single day. And it's heartbreaking, right? So as much as we want to get back to our jobs, as you guys want to get back to yours, and there's billions of other people who do as well, this is normal life right now. And, trying to ensure everyone's safety is a number one priority.
And, today on our TV show, we had Drew Doughty actually just coming out and frankly saying, I don't think there's going to be a season. I think the season's over. Like, this is one of the first times I've heard a player of his caliber, especially, say something like that. Do you feel that way? Have you talked to fellow teammates? Is there one way or another that you guys are leaning when it comes to the season that we're playing?
I definitely side with Drew. I don't know if he's saying just a season or playoffs. I think that I'm not sure. He's in a different position. I'm in a different position. We're not playoff teams. So I just don't see how the season is gets back up and running. But, you know, if you're on a playoff team and you're trying to make a Stanley Cup run, you're obviously wanting the season, you know, back because you just don't know when you'll get another chance to win it, right? And I respect that side of it. I understand that side of it as well. So I side with both sides. It's, again, it's a lot bigger than hockey, but, you know, sometimes it's tough to see that when guys are, you know, you're trying to live out your childhood dreams and win a Stanley Cup. So it's sometimes hard to look away from that.
Is it crazy to, when you're going to look back in your career and if the season's canceled, you're going to be in one of those seasons where it's not played because of pandemic?
I want to say it's cool, but I mean, you could live telling your grandchildren that you lived during a historic moment or a historic pandemic, depends how you want to look at it. It's interesting, kind of sucks in a way, but if there is no season, I guess, you know, being a member of that Stanley Cup team, I guess we're still Stanley Cup champions. So it's kind of cool too, right? Probably to be back-to-back champions, I guess. I'm not sure how you'd look at that.
Who was your pick right now?
That's why the Raptors. That's what everyone says about the Raptors, Mike.
Yeah, there's that cool stat about Toronto winning championships, and then the following year there was none awarded. It was actually a pretty interesting stat. It goes to the Toronto curse. But Dan, to answer your question, my pick, that's a tough one, really tough one. It's really a free-for-all this year. You know, Tampa's such a great team, but after last year, it's really hard to go with them. I like St. Louis again. Honestly, I don't have a team. I really don't. I think it's going to be, I think someone might surprise the team. It's just, this year is just so even. You don't know what can happen.
And all these teams.
And that's the beauty of our sport, right? And that's what I love our sport the most is on any given night in the regular season, and then obviously come playoff time, you have no idea who's going to win. And that's, you know, with basketball last year with Toronto was great, but come playoff time, until you get to playoffs, you have your 2-3 teams in each conference that you know are going to be there at the end of the year. And it's without the hard salary cap, you know, it's tough to get behind a sport like that. And that's just my eyes. I love every sport. I love watching sports, but to me, that's the beauty of hockey is you have no idea who's going to win.
It's so funny.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Guys, I was just going to say to Michael, you guys last year, to me, that broke the mold of all rebuilding forever, because you guys being in last place in the league in January and then winning the cup, to me, it's like, well, then why rebuild ever? You know, it's like.
Yeah, I mean, a great example too is look at the Rangers this year. Everyone, you know, they were rebuilding. They're supposed to be rebuilding. They're a great hockey club. They're fun to watch. They work their tails off. Obviously, they have a great coach. They're buying into the system. They have a ton of talent. And that's a team that are rotating 3 goalies, like kind of very unusual for hockey. Very, very unusual. But the new rebuilding to retooling, you know, hats off to them. They've done an incredible job. And that just goes to show it's not always having a Connor McDavid certainly helps, but having a team that works well together, works for each other, and is committed to playing a certain system in the right way, it's amazing what can happen. And obviously good goaltending, which is the key to any good team.
Well, yeah, you can look at so many teams, fan bases where they can say, this was our year. Even the freaking Flyers. Like the Flyers have a couple of runs of like close to 9-10 wins in a row, don't they? And they were right there. They were about to surpass the Capitals if they won a few more. They were a point behind the Caps when this all paused.
Yeah, that would have been, I don't know if you can call them a dark horse. That would have been my team that they were definitely peaking at the right time.
Yeah.
The only thing there is with a younger goaltender, playoffs is just different. It's a different game. But up front, like that group they have up front is I think probably the deepest forward group in the league.
Wouldn't a young goalie, I think, always be perfect in that situation because he doesn't have a chance to think about it?
Yeah, going into it a little bit naive and just playing, but once the nerves come in Philadelphia too, if they lose one or two and he lets a couple soft ones in, that's not a very forgiving fan base.
Yeah,
not at all. They could be quite cruel there. So I mean, you can argue both ways though.
Okay, switching it up. You mentioned the three goalies in New York, and so Henrik Lundqvist. Can you just tell us a little bit about Hank? Like, and sometimes I just think of that guy, and I think, is he have the greatest life, or has he lived the greatest life ever? I mean, he doesn't have the cup, but he has everything else. He definitely has everything else.
The perfect hair. I've never seen a guy dress as well as he does for practice. He'll come to practice in like a three-piece. I'm like, dude, where are you going? But it was eye-opening for me because at that time, I was still 19 when I first played with them. You go to the rink in sweatpants, you just be casual. And this guy looked like a supermodel every single day. And it was amazing. But that's you just learn, like, that's how he carried himself. It didn't matter if he saw one person, a million people, he always carried himself that way and held himself to a higher standard. And it was, amazing to see every day. But him as a goaltender, probably to this day, still the most competitive guy I've ever played with or against. In practice, he would not want to let in one single goal. I'd celebrate every time I scored on him because it didn't happen often. And he'd always fire a puck at you afterwards. Like, he was a bit of a psychopath when it came that way, but he is so competitive, hilarious. So whenever he loses, I don't know if he still does it. Whenever he lost in a shootout, he'd come back in, and the soap dispenser in the showers did not stand a chance every single time. If it was a shootout loss, that thing was just smashed to pieces on the bottom of the shower floor. It was like his thing.
He's a Ranger legend. Is Adam Graves? I've met Adam Graves like a couple times, and just the aura that guy puts off.
Yeah.
Is he maybe the greatest Ranger of all time?
He is the nicest human being ever. And I'll leave it at that. The nicest human being you'll ever meet. And anyone who's met him will say the same thing. The nicest human being. He's the guy that you want your daughter to marry.
Yeah.
Mark Messier has something to say to you, Dan, about being the greatest.
I know.
That's why I didn't go there with the hockey side. I mean, him guaranteeing a win and buries a hat trick, that's as legendary as it gets.
So take us through a few more of your teammates. Maybe who is the greatest player you ever played with, Michael, at the NHL level?
It'd probably be a toss-up for Rick Nash and Marian Gaborik, because Rick Nash just had those couple concussions when he was the ultimate power forward. And if he got ahead of steam, you couldn't take the puck off this guy. He was taking it to the net, and there was no way you're stopping him. And then I played with Gabby when he scored 40 goals, which is, no easy task. And little pat on my back. I assisted on quite a few of them on the power play. But they were both amazing players. Claude Giroux would be up there for probably the best half-wall player I've ever seen. I've been fortunate to play with some great players, some guys in their prime, some guys out of their prime. Henrik Lundqvist has got to be up there too. I was with him in his prime, and he is, you just look at his stats, they're incredible.
Of these three I'm about to name, as a defenseman, which one sends you into not a panic, but where you're on high alert? McDavid, Ovechkin, or Crosby?
Ovechkin has the shot. I still think Crosby's the best player, the most complete. But as far as one-on-one, it's not even a question. It's McDavid. Just with his.
So when he steps on the ice, are you like, oh?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. With him, the scary part is, and some people agree with me, some people disagree. Defensemen, everyone talks about like having a good gap and closing the gap. With McDavid, I find it's the opposite. I want to give him space because it's not often that he's going to shoot through you, or he doesn't have the Ovechkin shot where he could literally step over the blue line and beat the goalie clean. With McDavid, he usually beats you one-on-one, and he's within the hash mark in either deking the goalie or has a grade A chance. So I'd rather let him shoot from the outside as opposed to giving him being tight on gap and knowing he's just going to blow me wide or make me look silly and be on SportsCenter top 10 every single day. but that's in my opinion.
So when you're playing McDavid, like, does your coach have to point it out that you're playing him, or point out anything specific, or you guys all know?
If you have to point it out, then you're probably going to lose already. You gotta have that one circled on the calendar. He's just that good. Like, look at that movie made on Morgan Riley this year. Like, Morgan Riley is one of the best skaters in the league, and he went around him like he was, a pylon, which he isn't. Morgan Riley is one of the best defensemen in the league, but that just goes to show how good Connor is. He's just levels above everyone else.
And you know what's scary, Michael? I was saying this on Edmonton radio last week. This whole, as bad as this coronavirus epidemic is, and as bad as this is for everybody, for Connor McDavid, who's had some injuries the last couple of years and maybe has brushed himself back a little bit because he's a competitive guy, and of course you would do that.
Yep.
To just be forced to sit for a little bit, and obviously he's going to dryland train and all that, but just to be forced to sit maybe is the best thing for his career long term. I don't know. And maybe that's the worst thing for you guys. I don't know.
I agree with you. That's why and I know guys have talked about, if playoffs do happen this year, it's going to be a really, really good brand of hockey because everyone's going to be healthy. Yeah. You're not going into playoffs with bumps and bruises, little things that you would normally not play on. But obviously, as you said, being competitive guys, you're going to play. So if playoffs happen, it's going to be, as a fan, it's going to be incredible to watch. It's going to be some great, great hockey.
Michael, before we let you go, you said Crosby's the best. Break down. I liked how you broke down Connor's game. Break down Crosby as a defenseman when he's coming at you, like and also how he gets open. Like sometimes he scores goals. You're like, how is Sidney Crosby that wide open?
The best players, the puck seems to find them a lot of times. But with Crosby down low, he's so strong on his edges, on his skates. He can overpower you, can manhandle you in a way. But with him too, what I still think makes him the best player is his ability to pass the puck on his forehand and his backhand. So yeah, he can score goals, but a lot of guys, whether it's behind the net or down low, you're forcing them to their backhand. With him, you could force him to his backhand, and he's throwing a cross-ice saucer pass over two sticks right on a guy's tape backdoor for an empty netter. So that's what makes him so good, is just his ability to do everything at a high speed, but also be able to do everything on his forehand and his backhand.
I got to say, not only do you look the part of a TSN analyst, but you absolutely nailed this analysis. Like, you could be hired immediately. Again, we don't have the money to do it.
I'll take Raisin Bran, I guess. Or Raisin Dad, yeah.
Hey, Michael, what's on the playlist on these house parties?
Yeah, good
mostly house music. That's kind of my genre. Some for me would be old school hip hop, like late 90s, early 2000s. Like that's what I grew up on. So I'll try to mix some of that in with more of a quicker beat, a little more up tempo house beat. But it's different each week. I kind of have something I put together, a rough idea of what I'm going to play, and then I'm going on Instagram Live. Some people will request some stuff. But I try to cater to everyone, similar to the locker rooms. Having to play some older stuff for some of the older players, and then some new stuff for the young little brats coming up in the league.
Okay, I keep asking our DJ buddy Ryan Shepard to do a remix of Billy Joel's "My Life" because of the opening piano. He hasn't done it, so maybe you can throw that in Friday night.
My Life, okay, I can see what I can do. Yeah,
because it starts with da 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 da, and then you could boom boom.
So you want the piano dropped into a beat, I guess?
Like, yes.
Out of your Tiesto.
Yes. Yes.
I'll see what I could do. No promises. But I'm working on a couple of things. Yeah.
All right.
I'll try my best. How have you guys been doing? What's been keeping you guys busy?
And just trying to get my tripod to go up, and not that tripod, different real tripod.
I was gonna say, yeah. My forearms look like Popeyes right now. It's incredible.
Michael, I've been making dice. I'm making dice at home.
Wow. That's what it's come to.
That's what it's come to.
Yeah.
Michael, we're only a month in. This could get dark.
I know. I'm a little worried what happens in the second month here. I know. I'm with you guys. As long as it warms up, though, at least that helps a little bit. Like this weather, we had a hailstorm the other day. Today, these winds, this weather is unbelievable here. I didn't sign up for this.
I know. I'm with you.
Cali, that's for sure.
I'm with you. And I'm like talking to my buddies back in Alberta, and they're like, it's minus 20. I'm like, okay, so I guess I shouldn't be complaining, but at the same time, I really want to complain. Like it's not great, but when it does warm up, it'll be a lot better.
Yeah, here's what we told ourselves, Michael, when we came back from LA, because every day is the same. It's nice. Here, you really appreciate those nice days.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys found this. I couldn't believe it. Like the locals in Cali would be excited when it rained. I'm like, what?
I know.
It's just nice every day. I'm like, yeah, I want it nice every day. Like, who wants the rain? Like, who's getting excited about it? But I guess they're just so used to the consistent good weather. But I mean, regardless if I lived there for 10 years, I think the good weather, I'm okay with no rain.
Me too. And also when it rains there, it's as if it's like a minus 40 snowstorm here. Like everyone forgets how to drive there in the rain, and it's chaos.
Yeah, everyone acts like a bunch of idiots when it rains. I know.
Listen, Michael, this was awesome, man. You were. It was really nice of you to join us and do this and put on a jacket.
I was gonna wear a hat. I was like, you know what? It'd be the first time I dress up. I figured you guys would appreciate it. Why not?
I wore this shirt for you, Michael. This is our buddies in Saskatchewan.
Nice.
Player Golf makes these shirts.
It should be play golf if he's gonna talk dirty.
That's right. So hopefully, by the end of the summer, we'll all be out golfing, the four of us here.
I would love that. That'd be great. Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it, and I hope you and your family stay safe. All right.
Okay. And Instagram, your concert Friday. What time?
4:30 Eastern on Friday.
4:30? I thought it was like 8, 9 o'clock at night.
I'm up for suggestions. I was going to ask people if they'd rather it later, because for West Coast it's going to be 1:30, but I figured that like happy hour right before people are having dinner. Just
okay. I like
it. A couple of drinks before, loosen up a little bit. Like
I like it.
Idea.
Okay, 4:30.
That's right.
Yeah, but I was thinking about that too. Maybe a post dinner, like when people are really trying to take it to the next level, because I mean they got nothing else to do.
Oh, I'm gonna be tuned in. I can't wait.
Yeah. A couple get the tequila for happy hour, and then I'll take care of the rest. All right, toss your dancing shoes on. Let me take you home.
Okay, can't wait.
Pretty good. Thanks, Michael.
Okay, thanks, Michael. Guys. Take care. All right.
You've got to hang up.